To me, this is the sound of pure nostalgia. It brings me back to a time when I had no money and no responsibilities, and was just a young kid with an NES. In fact, I would have never heard of Dragon Quest, or Dragon Warrior as it was called in North America, if not for a random magazine promotion. That's right, I first discovered it because Nintendo Power once decided to give away a free copy of the game to new subscribers. It was all part of a grand marketing push to introduce the West to role-playing games. This was at a time where North American gamers had almost no exposure to the genre. I mean, I certainly didn't. In fact, I had no idea what to expect. But when I first played the title, I was totally overwhelmed by the enormity of it all. This was not Super Mario Bros., Double Dragon, or even The Legend of Zelda. It was a much more complex and statistical title, and placed you in the middle of a fantasy adventure. As viewers of the channel know, RPGs are a huge focus of mine. And, well, this was the first RPG I ever played. The game was localized in North America as Dragon Warrior to avoid infringing on the trademark on the pen and paper RPG Dragon Quest. It was a totally unrelated intellectual property. The Famicom/NES Dragon Quest was the masterwork of Yuji Horii, who endeavored to create his groundbreaking title after playing fantasy-inspired games like Wizardry and Ultima on the PC. He aspired to simplify the complexities of what the genre was at that point to make it palatable for a general audience, and I think it would be an understatement to say he succeeded in that. And it all started with the story. Long ago, the legendary hero Loto, or Erdrick as it was translated in many English versions, used the Ball of Light to drive darkness away from the land of Alefgard. Peace and prosperity remained until a man hid the Ball of Light's radiance away in a cave, and became the Dragonlord. The Dragonlord sent swarms of monsters throughout the continent, and kidnapped Princess Gwaelin of Tantagel Castle. As the descendant of Erdrick, you are called upon to rescue her from danger and restore peace to the world once more. Almost every feature that came to define console RPGs is present here. Random encounters in the overworld and dungeons, hunting for key items to progress the story, and grinding for levels to get strong enough to overcome the next challenge. All of these themes factor in. You gain spells at predefined levels, some of which are usable in combat and others in the world map. Heal more will become your bread and butter. Some are crucial in key moments, such as using sleep on the green dragon guarding Princess Gwaelin. Yeah, so like every other game from this time, you rescue a princess. But unlike Princess Toadstool and Princess Zelda, this one is a lot more bullheaded. If you thought about refusing to bring her back to Tantagel once she's rescued, think again. This gal doesn't take no for an answer. But hey, at least you can drop her off there without being required to profess your love for her, right? Nope, not at all. You're stuck in an unending loop there too if you dare to refuse. There are some really crazy hidden secrets in Dragon Quest that you just wouldn't have ever known about without meticulous searching or a strategy guide. For instance, you have to search the exact correct square in Cole to find the fairy flute, which is necessary to put a golem guarding the city of Cantlin to sleep. A few key hidden storyline items also require you to travel along the perimeter of a town or castle to find, such as the Stones of Sunlight in Tantagel. You also have to search this exact square in a swamp to find Erdrick's token, another required storyline item. Dragon Quest maxes out at level 30, but the game is beatable at around 20, and yeah, it will require a lot of grinding, but battles are pretty quick. Oddly enough, when you finally reach the Dragonlord at the end of the game, he gives you the option to rule the world by his side, so he's basically what Darth Vader is to Star Wars. If you take him up on his offer, well, you actually get a game over of sorts, as the game actually ends as the world remains in darkness and despair. So yeah, you basically have to sit and stare at this screen forever. How could the descendant of Erdrick ever consider such an option? It makes you into the Benedict Arnold of Alefgard, so don't even think about it. There's some other stuff that seems unintentionally humorous too. For example, the guy that combines several key items into the rainbow drop seems all about helping you in your quest to defeat evil, until he creates the item for you. After that, you're persona non grata. And, some of the buildings have absolutely no purpose whatsoever, like this one. What is this, a porta potty? It must be Taco Night in Cantlin again. Among Dragon Quest's very best qualities is the soundtrack, which still echoes through my mind now. I don't even have to play the game to remember the tunes in this one. It was the creation of the late Koichi Sugiyama, who was a well-renowned composer in his own right outside of gaming before being recruited by Enix for Hori's groundbreaking title. It truly is one of the best musical scores on the NES, if you ask me. Many of the tunes were reused or remade for use in future Dragon Quest games too, so it made them stick out that much more into the future. You can even reminisce about the game with others that played it just by saying town theme, castle theme, or overworld theme. Whoever you're discussing it with will immediately know which tracks you mean. Also, the level up sound has to be one of the most recognizable and genre-defining features. Dragon Quest does have its fair share of annoyances though, and most are the result of the game's age. The limited, painful inventory management system is one that stands out. Also, the fact that you actually had to manually select the stairs command to descend or ascend staircases and the take command to open chests is pretty frustrating. The very worst might be that there are some areas where the NPCs wander back and forth between areas you have to walk through, so sometimes you just have to wait for what seems like eternity to get through. No, not there! Let me through! No, go the other way! Ah! The NES version of the game also incorporates several changes from the original Famicom version. For instance, the Japanese version featured character sprites that faced only one direction, including the hero. However, the sprites were changed completely for the North American version, and definitely for the better in my mind. The graphics were also changed to give the coastlines more detail. Most significantly, the NES version incorporated a battery backup system so you could save your game, whereas the original Japanese cart only allowed a password functionality. It was called the Spell of Restoration system and required 20-digit passwords. Yikes. Thankfully, by the time the game came to North America years later, battery backups had been commonplace. Because the user interface and graphics are so archaic, I recommend playing the version on the English patch Dragon Quest I+2 on the Super Famicom. It cleans up the graphics and makes the game feel a lot more like Dragon Quest V. It just holds up a heck of a lot better, and the remastered music is great to listen to as well. I can't say that Dragon Quest is the greatest RPG of all time, but I can say it was the most important RPG of all time. At least, it certainly inspired my interest in the genre more than any other game. Without Nintendo's concentrated marketing campaign and its inclusion in Nintendo Power subscriptions, I wouldn't ever have discovered it. To this day, I probably wouldn't ever know what a slime was. There are just so many novel things about the presentation back then, like the inclusion of a fold-out map inside the game's packaging. The whole thing just stood out above every other game that existed back then. The original Dragon Quest is basic as can be, but it was also revolutionary. People younger than me will probably never be captivated by its allure the same way I was, but I still think anyone who loves old-school console RPGs should give it a try if they haven't. It's basically the Beatles or Led Zeppelin of RPGs. Without a doubt, it was the start of one of the greatest video game franchises of all time, and the series built upon its success very well. Some facets don't hold up too great, but I was actually surprised how quickly the battles can be streamlined. They run pretty smooth. This is a legendary game. After traveling the world, slaying the Dragonlord, and restoring Alefgard to peace as a legendary hero, you're finally freed from all the demands of Princess Gwaelin, right? No, actually not at all. Attempting to turn down her request to bring her with you to rule over a new kingdom results in yet another endless loop. Yet again, you have to say yes. You can't kick back and relax after saving the world. You're forced to bring her with you so she can coerce you into all sorts of other things. At least until the dragons return again. So let me know in the comments, what was your favorite aspect of Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior? What drew you into this game back then? Like and subscribe to my channel for more retro gaming content, and join my Discord community linked in the description. Also, please consider supporting my channel via YouTube's Join feature to receive member exclusives, such as advanced videos and complete video transcripts.